What's going on, everyone? Today was really a crazy day in the markets as in pre-market, a bunch of stocks took a giant beating, but then as the day went on, the bulls came in and they started rolling with some serious momentum and a lot of stocks popped back higher. In today's episode, we have a lot to talk about, especially with Nvidia, which at one point was down 8% today, but we have also a lot to talk about related to the overall market, some earnings coming up, and some other fun things like that. So you guys better stick with us all the way to the end. Towards the end of today's video, we also have a $1.4 million trade that you don't want to miss. So with that being said, Tom, let's jump right into it.
Yeah, I will say to start the day off, I woke up this morning, Mike, and I saw the market starting to sell, and I was like, what in the hell is going on? And then the news hit with Nvidia, and man, they just started tanking way off to the downside, ran all the way down to 425 on this stock. It was down like 8% on its low of day there. But Mike, that was a terrible drop-off, and it really fueled a big sell-off in most stocks. SPY, QQQ, even if we go over to like Apple, Microsoft, all these stocks took huge hits in pre-market as the overall tech sector saw this huge news hit where we were restricting the chip sales to China from Nvidia, and a few other chip makers as well will be affected, but Nvidia is obviously the main one that everybody is kind of looking at here, but it is a huge piece of, I would say, news that caused a lot of selling pressure today. I don't really see it causing too much selling pressure over the next couple weeks, but man, anytime you hear anything with restrictions to China, one of the biggest markets out there, it's definitely bad. We even saw some bad news with Apple in China the other day.
Exactly. But yeah, Nvidia really got punched in the face this morning off of this news. And basically what's happening in a nice and simple way is the US government doesn't want the Chinese military to get too advanced with AI. So they are limiting what chips that Nvidia and other big chip stocks can sell to China. Basically, the U.S. government already put in some restrictions, and Nvidia adapted to them, but the U.S. government increased those restrictions, and Nvidia did not like that at all, especially considering Nvidia earns 20% of its revenue from China. Now, this is very important for multiple reasons. One, it does not help the U.S.-China relationship at all, but on top of that, Nvidia, a powerhouse company, when you have them falling by 8% in, just a couple hours, that basically has a ton of bearish effects onto the overall market because Nvidia is one of the most influential stocks in the market. So it just affects everything in a bad way. And this news is not completely over just yet. Nvidia was down almost 5% today. And, the price action's looking pretty weak. So if we do see a continued sell-off out of this, it can offer a lot of bearish opportunities in the market going forward.
Yeah, it really can, and I'm looking at some big supports here on Nvidia today, and I noticed that low of day was actually the low in pre-market back on Wednesday, the 4th of October, so I thought that was pretty big. That area of support right around 425 is going to be crucial to watch for tomorrow. Now, there's obviously more intraday opportunities, but that low of day today was very important. There was even a hit there all the way back on Monday on the 18th of September. So that price area, or the area 425, should be a pretty big support to watch. As far as resistance, I'm seeing like 450 overhead and then 448 right around that high of day today. But whenever you go intraday, it was really choppy there, right around that 436 area end of day. So if you're like a shorter term trader, maybe watch 436 and then you could maybe target 425 if there is a continued sell-off on this. And Mike, I know we actually talked about this one last night. It fell out of that key trend, and of course that news came, and it was almost like it just added fuel to the fire on that trend touch. And I don't know how much more this thing has left in the tank to the downside, but it is looking awfully hot right now.
Exactly. And yes, Tom, we did talk about it last night to the downside. And, this news obviously helped a lot. But yeah, going forward, Nvidia is one of the top stocks that everyone should be watching going forward. If you're in the market and you're not watching Nvidia, you're making a very big mistake right now. This stock moves with a lot of power in both directions. And personally, I think if we see like a clean break below some of the lows we had today, I think there's a good shot that Nvidia could retest like that 410 to 415 area.
I think so too. And, it's one of those big stocks. And I love that area you picked. It's right on big support there. And it's almost like Nvidia. A lot of people out there like to talk about head and shoulders patterns. Now, they're not necessarily my favorite, but if we go out to like a daily chart of Nvidia here, the head and shoulder argument is actually it's like setting up near perfect for a head and shoulders pattern. So if this does continue and that sell-off does happen, I would love to see it down to 410, Mike. And everybody out there should maybe create an alert under that low of day today around 425. It never hurts to just create an alert. That way you get alerted right away.
There we go. All right, Tom. Well, like I said, for the past couple of days now, earnings season is here. It's in full action, baby. So let's roll. For tomorrow, we do have Tesla and Netflix earnings, which will be the most important earnings reports of the week. Obviously here are the rest of the earnings reports as well. But, for this week, Tesla and Netflix are the stocks that basically everyone will be watching.
Exactly, and I'm actually really worried about Tesla's numbers. I'm sure everybody's worried about them and Netflix right now. And whenever I talk about Tesla, Mike, I know that they keep decreasing the price of their cars, and I feel like longer term that's going to help them with the Model 3. Maybe they're just trying to gain more sales before an update comes in the Model 3, but nonetheless, Tesla's been having a lot of problems off this trend line on the daily chart as well. They actually have not been above this trend line since the sell-off started in 2021. So I will be watching Tesla very closely, and I have a bad feeling that their margins are going to get hit too much from these price decreases. I can't see them, coming out with an amazing report that wows. Maybe they'll prove me wrong, but I think it might just come in right around expectations.
Yeah, and they have huge competition with Lucid as well. Did you see that?
Yeah, the Lucid data today was insane, of course. Mike, Lucid, of course they disappoint, right?
Lucid shares fall after third quarter EV deliveries disappoint. This is something we've never heard. It's just like Lucid, the Tesla killer, got crushed today. So for those of you guys wondering, obviously my Lucid comment was sarcastic, but it just goes to, I guess you could say, work in Tesla's favor that, some of their very hyped up competitors like Lucid and some of these other EV companies from the past couple of years are, not looking the best, you can say. So I guess that does work in Tesla's favor.
Man, Mike, they were expected to deliver around 2,000 vehicles. Imagine that low number, 2,000 vehicles, and they couldn't even hit it. They came in at 1,457. I hope Lucid can do better for the long term, but in the short term, man, that stock has been beaten down. I'm glad Tesla has held up better than Lucid and a couple of the others. Granted, though, Tesla is years more developed than some of these other EV companies.
Yeah, so either way, keep a close eye on some of these exciting earnings over the next couple days. But with that being said, Tom, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into the fun stuff for today, which are some setups. So one stock I'm watching very closely is Apple, and it's to the downside. Basically, Apple fell a little bit today, but basically with the increasingly bearish price action and momentum that we've been seeing in the markets, I think Apple can fall more. Right now, it's at like $177 a share, and if we see the market momentum flip, I would not be surprised at all if Apple got closer to that like 170, 180 level.
Yeah, that would be awesome to get down to there, and it's kind of rejecting off an intraday trend line. I noticed even QQQ and a few others are rejecting off the same thing, so I'll definitely keep an eye on Apple down. That whole entire tech sector is on watch right now for me with all the bad movement lately. But yesterday I talked about Square, and I did notice today that these, I would say, growth stocks like the Russell, if we go look at the IWM today, it actually did pretty damn good compared to, especially on a day whenever all these tech stocks open up really, really low. So I was really happy with Square, PayPal, and a couple other callouts that we had from last night. So I'm going to go with Square again. If they're able to get back above this 46 to 46.50 area, I'll look at more calls for tomorrow. I really love these growth stocks moving here against the market. It was pretty hot to see that.
Yeah, good stuff. I also like that setup, and it's a stock I own for the long term as well, and I think it's at a great price point for, a long-term pickup. So good stuff there. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is SLV. Basically, gold and silver have been popping in a pretty big way over the past couple days, and I can definitely see this momentum continuing over the next couple days and weeks. So I'm watching SLV up, and just so you guys know, SLV is one of those ETFs we can say that most of the time doesn't move too much, but every now and then you just see like a monster day out of this one.
Yeah, and I think SLV is awesome right now. All these gold and silver ETFs, companies, even like some miners are starting to look really enticing here. So I'll keep my eyes on it, Mike. SLV, a really fun metal stock. With my next one, I'm going with Boeing. And again, to the upside, I actually really like the way Boeing moved today. It pulled back down to this 185 support, kind of confirming it. So if we keep holding this 185-ish level into tomorrow, I will look at Boeing up. And whenever we go to an hourly chart of Boeing, there's a nice double bottom around 182 to 185. This is near perfect on that wick from yesterday. So if we keep holding 185 and we see some bullish momentum tomorrow, I will definitely be eyeing up calls. Boeing's a pretty fun stock to day trade. Those options are usually pretty well priced, and hey, they go pretty damn crazy too.
Yeah, especially with news. You know, if Boeing has some big news for the day, that stock can really run. So keep a close eye on it. But let's get right into the momentum plays for tomorrow. And you guys already know what the first one is. That is Nvidia to the downside.
How could we not? So I'm going to give a couple levels here. If you want to be more of a scalper, like a quick intraday opportunity, go ahead and look at 436. I really like that intraday support there. You could trade that down. Now, if you want to be a little safer and you want to wait for the bigger move, if we break under that huge 425 support that we talked about earlier, then that'll be the more grade A opportunity on here.
All right, sounds good. With the next one, we have Disney to the upside. And Tom, to be honest with you, it's kind of weird to say because when you look at that long-term chart of Disney, it doesn't do anything but fall.
I know, right? I'm really glad to see it up, and we've been seeing a lot of big money plays run into Disney a lot lately as well. Like, I love some of these plays, like the December 2025 calls. Man, if those end up being right, that option should explode. But looking at Disney for tomorrow, they're actually running up into a pretty big resistance. And if they break this resistance and they get above 86.50, then I'll look at those calls. But just make it break that because it's sitting on right around 86, which is huge over the past month.
There we go. And with the last one, we have AI to the upside.
AI, wow, it's nice to hear their name coming back in again. They might get wild. Look at last week. They had a pretty crazy move. If they end up breaking above 26.50, then eye up the calls.
There we go. So we have that upside level on AI. It's only a play if it breaks above that level. And then with the other two, or actually we have Disney as well to the upside. And then with the last one, we have Nvidia, and that is to the downside. Again, it's only a play if it breaks below that level. Keep that in mind. But with that being said, Tom, let's jump right into my favorite part of the video, which is the big money trade of the day. And we are looking at ticker symbol NEM today. It was a $1.4 million call option trade where the big money dumped this $1.4 million into the $42.50 strike call options that expire on December 15th of 2023. NEM is a gold mining company, and I'm pretty bullish on gold and the gold mining industry over the next couple weeks and months right now. So I think this play is awesome. And basically, you know, the higher this stock goes, the more money this big money trader will make. The options are a little bit out of the money, but given how much time they have, definitely not bad. Overall, I really like the setup, and for those of you who don't know, a call option bet like this makes more money the higher the stock goes.
Yeah, and I actually think this is pretty enticing here. You know, it's a 42.50 strike. It's a little bit out of the money, and this stock has been coming back very, very strong. If these metals heat up, let's just go back to maybe 2020 to 2022. As we saw gold start to reach those all-time highs again, look at how good NEM was running, guys. I mean, I know that it's just starting to maybe start to come up now, and it could get choppy. Like, look at how choppy it was before it finally had that big uptrend. But look at the percentage from the low to the high here. This thing ran up 60% on that move. Gold would be nowhere near 60%. You know, it might be a nice 10, 15% pop on gold itself, but these miners have insane moves, and I'm sure those options will go crazy. So I like it, Mike, and I think even in the short term, I like this $45 resistance. I think there could be a nice test of that sometime over the next few months.
There we go. Yeah, so keep a close eye on it, everyone. But looking at the market right now, you know, if we're being honest, the market was pretty wild today. It was crazy in the sense that, you know, we saw a lot of bearish momentum early on, and we saw a lot of bullish momentum, you know, as the day progressed as well. But, you know, to close out the day, there wasn't really one side that had full control. The market ended pretty flat, and, you know, it's just flat and choppy right now. And, you know, these types of days are definitely hard to trade, but the good thing is that they don't happen that often. And when they do happen, they're almost always followed by really good days in either direction. So even if today was kind of like a fake out day for you, keep your head up high, and better days are coming. But Tom, do you have any final thoughts, whether it's anything with the market, earnings, or anything else?
Yeah, on SPY here, I'm just really keeping an eye on this overhead resistance around 438. Keep that on watch for tomorrow. I know a lot of people were watching 437 today, and then they were real surprised when it came down at 438. That's mainly because of that pre-market level from back on last Thursday. So keep your eyes on the SPY here. If it breaks there, I think we could see a pretty good pop. But I'll be honest, Mike, given how the tech stocks ran this morning, I'm not too bullish, but it's so choppy here. If you guys can identify the chop, it's been really fun to trade, but if you haven't, it's probably been it's been terrible. The premiums get hit really hard on options during these times, so hopefully we can kind of break out of this chop zone on the SPY and start to, get that nice directional movement back.
Tom, look in the bottom right corner of the screen. Today's move. 0%. It's like, that's when it's like the market just isn't doing anything. But like I said, even though those days suck, as they happen, they're pretty rare, and they're always followed basically by really good moves. So with everything being said, we should see some better volatility tomorrow, especially given that we have earnings creeping up, as well as Jerome Powell speaking later in the week. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. When you subscribe, you'll see our videos recommended to you more often. In every single video, we talk about big money, multi-million-dollar trades, predictions for tomorrow, earnings, and all the other important news you could possibly need to know about. Besides that, thank you guys so much for watching, and let's have an amazing rest of the week.